Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to the next session of the course Therapeutic Nutrition. This is the third module, that is etiology, clinical features, and nutritional management of gastrointestinal tract disorders. This is the fifth lecture and last lecture of this third module, in which we shall be studying about nutritional management of hepatitis. I am Dr. Jaspreet Kaur, presently working as Assistant Professor in Government College for Girls, Ludhiana, Punjab, affiliated to Punjab University, Chandigarh. And this project is funded by DTH Swayam Prabha, MHRD, New Delhi. In the previous lecture, we had studied about functions of liver, and then we studied what are some pathological changes that occur in liver, and then we studied about the major factors causing damage to the liver cells. Then we studied about the jaundice and what causes jaundice. And then we started with the topic that was hepatitis, in which we defined hepatitis as an infectious disease characterized by inflammation and degradation of liver cells, which interferes with the uptake of bilirubin by the cells and its conjugation and excretion from the body. And then the last leg of the lecture, we studied about various type of viruses causing hepatitis. Now let's continue further and study about general symptoms of hepatitis and nutritional management during this condition. Now let us study what are the initial symptoms which are common to all type of hepatitis, that is hepatitis A, B, C, D and E, which we studied in the previous lecture. So the initial symptoms, they will be more of generalized kind of symptoms, such as it could be itchy skin, then the person may feel fatigue, and there could be presence of fever, and then the person will not feel like eating anything. There will be lack of appetite. This could be because of nausea, there could be vomiting, and then the person will experience weight loss because the person is not able to eat the food properly. And then there could be mood swings, and in especially type A type of virus, hepatitis, there could be diarrhea also. And these initial symptoms, they are followed by advanced symptoms. These initial symptoms, they will be followed by advanced symptoms. So the jaundice will appear. We know that it is a yellow coloration which would be felt on the lighter part of our body, such as eyes and skin. They will look pale, and the color of urine will change from dark yellow to red, and the feces will become whitish. As we all know, under the normal conditions, the bilirubin is excreted via our stools along with the bile salts. But when the liver is unable to perform its duty and produce the bile salts, this will result in accumulation of bilirubin content inside the blood only. So the level of bilirubin will not be excreted via stools because the color is missing, though, so the feces, they will become chalky white. But on the other hand, the urine will become darker in shade because our kidneys, they will excrete the extra bilirubin via urine. And then there will be enlarged liver and spleen in advanced stages, and there could be some autoimmune problems associated just because of damage to the liver cells. Now, coming to the duration of the illness, these symptoms of various type of hepatitis, they subside between 2 to 8 weeks, though complete recovery may take little longer. And if the liver gets damaged, the severity and duration of disease will be increased, such as in case of hepatitis B or C conditions. And acute hepatitis in such conditions may develop into chronic hepatitis. And progression of this disease will lead to cirrhosis of liver, which is end stage of liver disease. So now we have understood that what is the reason which causes hepatitis. We have studied about different types of viruses, and then we have seen what are the various symptoms causing this virus. And coming to the nutritional care, let us study what are the objectives of nutrition care during all types of hepatitis. So the first objective of nutrition care is to maintain nutrition and ensure that the breakdown of body tissues is prevented. As we know, patient is not taking proper food and he is losing lot of weight. So the primary objective is to prevent that breakdown of body tissues. And the second objective is to relieve the symptoms of the disease. And thirdly, to aid in regeneration of liver tissues. This is the most important objective. And then it is important to prevent the progression of liver damage. Now, let us see what are the requirement of energy during this condition. As we know that the person loses lot of weight because of not eating well or other nausea and vomiting is there. So high energy intake is needed to promote weight gain and protein utilization. Since the patient is on bed rest, actually the daily energy expenditure will be reduced. So initially the patient may not be able to tolerate large quantity of food due to anorexia. So it is good if we can provide up to 15 to 2000 kilocalorie, and this target should be achievable. And generally the energy intake is increased by 20 to 30% more than normal intake in this condition. So coming to the protein intake needs to be increased to overcome the negative nitrogen balance which accompanies this condition. And it is needed to promote the regeneration of liver cells and to prevent the fatty infiltration of liver. However, the damaged liver may not be able to tolerate high amount of protein load because the conversion of ammonia to urea is affected. So accumulation of ammonia, it can lead to hepatic coma also in advanced conditions. So depending upon the extent of the liver damage, the protein intake could be adjusted. So in mild to moderate cases, it is good if we can provide 1.5 to 2 gram per kilogram body weight per day, or we can say it amounts to 80 to 100 grams of protein that is recommended. So we would always want that we use high biological value protein so that it is better absorbed and utilized by the body. And we can always supplement the protein of vegetable origin along with this high biological value protein. So the next macronutrient comes is carbohydrate. High carbohydrate diet is recommended to provide bulk of the energy or to build up glycogen stores in the liver, as it has protection against the fatty infiltration as well. And then for protein sparing action, it is needed. And then for meeting the above requirements, we can provide 300 to 400 grams of carbohydrate daily. And it should be mainly coming from simple carbohydrates such as glucose, sugar, honey, fruits, then fruit juices can be given, then simple cereals can be given. It can also come from root vegetables also, such as potato, yam. So the next important macronutrient is fat. As we know, in liver disorders, the digestion and absorption of fat is affected because of impaired bile secretion, and therefore fat intake needs to be decreased moderately. The inclusion of fat in moderate amount of fat in the diet, it will not only increase the palatability of the food, but it will also decrease the bulk of the diet. And it is desirable, as we know the patient is anorexic and he doesn't want to eat anything, and he cannot take food in larger quantity also. So the fat will also promote recovery as high energy needs can be met with the fats in the diet. The tolerance of the fat that varies from one person to another. So if a person is having mild to moderate kind of hepatitis, then we can go for 40 to 50 grams of fat daily. But in severe cases, we may have to reduce it to just 20 to 30 grams per day. And along with the quantity of fats, the quality of the fats is also very important modification in this condition. Here, the emulsified fats such as coming from milk and eggs, they can be chosen as the bile is not needed for the digestion of emulsified fats. Similarly, medium chain triglycerides, we call them MCT. They are present in oil such as coconut oil. They are also better tolerated since they are directly absorbed into the lymphatic system without undergoing digestion. Now let's talk about micronutrients. So coming to minerals, it is important that the diet is able to provide all type of minerals, and especially we need to provide more of calcium and iron because there is increased catabolism, and in increased catabolism the need of calcium and iron, they are increased. Now let's talk about vitamins. As we know that the availability of fat soluble vitamins that tends to be decreased because of decreased intake of fats and impaired fat absorption. Therefore, care should be taken to include fat soluble vitamins. And we know that vitamin A is stored inside the liver, so we need to provide good amount of vitamin A to make up for the loss of function during the hepatitis. So it is important to include carotene rich foods such as we can include green leafy vegetable, deep yellow and orange vegetables and fruits. Secondly, in liver diseases, prothrombin time also increases. So supplement of vitamin K may have to be given in this condition. And then along with that, need of B vitamin also increase because there is increase in energy metabolism. As we know that there is lot of breakdown of protein that happens inside the body. And along with that, higher vitamin C is also recommended for the promotion of tissue healing. So along with macronutrients and micronutrients, it is important to give due consideration to the amount of fluid a patient has to take. The person should be given ample amount of fluids to prevent dehydration. But patients with severe hepatitis may not be able to excrete the water load. Therefore, careful monitoring of the fluid balance is necessary. So here small frequent amount of fluids they can be given throughout the day. So let us study about principle of diet therapy in hepatitis. It is high energy, high protein, high carbohydrates, moderate fat, and we have to ensure that it is served in small, attractive meals and it is served at regular intervals. We have to ensure that we do not force feed a person. Now let's understand what should be the feeding pattern in this condition. We have just seen what are the requirements of a person during this condition and how we can meet these needs. Let's study. Since we know anorexia is a problem, so all efforts must be made to encourage the patient to eat. So, food should be well cooked, attractive, and appetizing. And it should be attractive. We have to make sure that the likes and dislikes of person they are kept in mind. Now coming to the consistency, we may have to give due importance to this consistency because a patient with mild hepatitis may be able to eat the food of a normal consistency, but in acute cases, liquid or soft diet may be recommended. But in severe conditions, tube feeding may have to be given so that we can meet the energy requirements. So coming to the frequency, just like consistency, the frequency of diet will also depend upon the patient's tolerance to the food and the consistency which he is eating. In mild cases, we may require normal to soft diet, which can be given as three main meals with in between snacks. And in acute cases, we may have to give soft to liquid diet with 6 to 8 small feeds in our day. And here it is also advisable that if we can give one high energy drink in between the meals, it usually it is high protein beverage. And let us see what a person can eat once he is having this issue of hepatitis. He can take a lot of cereals, such as he can take soft breads, chapatis, which are made up of wheat. Then he can take rice, he can take maida, suji, maize, jawar, bajra, ragi, or other millets can be taken. Then he can take breakfast cereals of broken wheat, rice can be taken, oatmeal or maize, all these cereals can be taken. And he can take milk or milk products. Rather, they are highly desirable. And then it is good if the person can take the food in the form of soups because it will provide fluids along with nutrients and it will also eliminate the harsh elements of the diet. And then the person can take vegetable salads and cooked vegetables, they can be taken to add lot of vitamins and minerals in the diet. And then high energy and high carbohydrate diet can be made possible when we are giving potato, sweet potato or yam in the diet. And then fruits and fruit juices, they can be taken. Then along with that, the food can be made interesting with the addition of sugar, jaggery or honey. Then jam or murabba, it can be given. Then jellies can be made and other sugar concentrates, they can be added so that a person feels like eating something. And then desserts such as light custard or ice cream or suji kheer, that can be given. And then beverages, we all know, along with liberal water and glucose water, they are actually desirable. Now, in this condition, do we need to avoid certain things? Yes, it is important to avoid whole pulses, beans, meat, fish, chicken, and meat soups because they will pose additional burden on the liver to digest the harsh fibers and extra amount of protein. And then sweet preparations where butter, ghee, or oil that has been added. In fact, all the processed foods should be avoided. And then bakery products, they are to be avoided because in all the bakery products there are lots and lots of chemicals which are added. And of course, the liver is going to bear the brunt of detoxifying each and every. If there is extra color, it will be detoxified in the liver. So we have to take the burden from the liver. And then dry fruits, since they are concentrated sources, they will be containing harsh fibers. So we should avoid dry fruits, nuts, spices, papad, chutney, all these spices and condiments, they are to be avoided to provide rest to the organ. And then along with that, alcoholic beverages, we all know they are a major factor causing damage to the hepatocytes, that is liver cells. So alcoholic beverages are strictly to be avoided. And along with that, it is advisable that the person abstains from all kind of fried foods so that the fat, whatever amount of fat that comes in the diet, that comes from either emulsified fat, that is the food containing fat in its original form, such as it comes from milk or such as it comes from egg, or it comes in the form of medium chain triglyceride. That is, we have already given one example, that is just like coconut oil that contains medium chain triglyceride, and all these type of fats, they will provide rest to the liver. Now, let us summarize what we have studied in the management of hepatitis. So, we have studied that it is an infectious disease which is characterized by inflammation and degradation of liver cells, and it interferes with the uptake of bilirubin by the cells, and its conjugation and excretion is affected. And then we studied that it is of two types, that is viral hepatitis and drug-induced hepatitis. And then we studied that the initial symptoms of this condition are anorexia, fatigue, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea in certain conditions. Along with that, fever, abdominal discomfort, and weight loss could be felt. And then we studied that jaundice, which is a common symptom of all type of liver diseases. And here the color of the urine will also change from dark yellow to red, and the feces, they will become whitish. And then we also studied that another symptom would be enlarged liver and spleen. And then the person may feel certain autoimmune issues. Then we studied about this disease, that the symptoms, they will subside between 2 to 8 weeks, though the complete recovery may take little longer, and it can go up to 6 months also in few uh, cases, such as in hepatitis B or C. And then if the liver gets damaged, the severity and duration of disease is bound to be increased. And then we studied that acute hepatitis may develop into chronic hepatitis if the treatment is not given. And progression of this disease may occur, which will lead to cirrhosis of liver, which is an irreversible condition. And then after this, we studied about the dietary modification, in which we studied that the principle of diet therapy is high protein, high carbohydrate, and moderate fat for the early recovery of the hepatocytes. And then since we have already studied that the patient is anorexic, he doesn't feel like eating, so it is good to give small attractive meals at regular intervals. And it is important that we do not overfeed the person, as overfeeding may rather have negative impact on the recovery rate of the hepatocytes, and rather it would put more burden on the already disturbed liver cells. And along with that, likes and dislikes of the person, they are to be given due importance. And then consistency of the diet and the frequency of the feeding need to be modified, and it has to be based on the tolerance of the person, which has to be individualized. And then it is a good idea if we can give high protein beverages in between the meals. So this brings us to the end of this module, that is management of gastrointestinal tract disorders. So let us quickly summarize what we have studied in this module. In the first lecture, we had studied about etiology, nutritional management of diarrhea, in which we studied that the management of acute diarrhea involves replenishing fluids and electrolytes lost in the stools. And then we also studied that the chronic diarrhea management involves providing soft, bland, low fiber, low residue, and low fat diet. In the second lecture, we studied the management of constipation, in which we studied various objectives of diet therapy, and they are to develop the regularity of habits of evacuation, and then following a regular meal pattern, then consuming high fiber diet in most of the cases, and then ensuring that adequate intake of fluids is maintained, and then increase in exercise and activity. And along with diet, we also studied that stress coping strategies can be actually helpful in preventing and managing constipation. And in the third lecture, we studied about the management of celiac disease and lactose intolerance. And here we knew that the only dietary management of celiac disease is to follow gluten-free diet throughout life. And then we studied about lactose intolerance, in which we studied that there are two types of tolerance which is seen. One condition is where there is very low level of lactase activity. So the diet management in this condition was about that all the milk products are to be eliminated, and it has to be substituted with the other milks such as soy milk, groundnut milk, and their preparations. And here enzymes which are commercially available, they could be also used to digest the milk. And then the second condition was in the moderate level of lactase activity. Here we had studied that intake of milk is restricted depending upon the tolerance of a person. And then we studied that fermented cooked food are of, and especially the cooked forms of milk, they are better tolerated. And in the this lecture, last lecture, we studied about the management of hepatitis. So 28th July every year is celebrated as World Hepatitis Day. Let's make sure and create a hepatitis free world. Thank you.